love me when I'm in it, and she never be pretending. Nothing is rent. She gon' tell you what she bought it, cause she know you can't afford it. Know you can get it. Looking exquisite, no competition.
Hi, hi, hi. Welcome to the E-Spot with Camille, and I am so excited about my first guest for Pageant Week. Well, I'm calling it Beauty Week, Pageant Week, because there's a little bit of both. And she's one of those guests that's not only a pageant coach, but she's also an esthetician. So she kind of fits in both ponds, so to speak. I could come up with a better word than that. Both categories. Anyway, I'm so glad to have her here. I can't wait for you guys to meet her. This is Brittany DiCello from Finishing Touches, and she's going to share more about her story. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And I want to make sure I didn't ruin your name, because I totally meant to ask you that off air, and just realized when I said it, I was like, oh yeah, I hope it's DiCello.
Yeah, yes, it is.
Oh,
you did it right.
Gold star already. I'm doing well.
Yay.
So before we even get started, I want to make sure that I ask, how are you doing? How's the quarantine affecting your everyday schedule?
Yeah, so obviously things are quite different. I'm at home, and you mentioned that I'm also an esthetician. So along with my pageant coaching, I'm also working in a salon. And so for the past, oh my gosh, I guess that's been 6 weeks, the salon has been closed. So just kind of taking this time to relax and to get some house projects done. And my husband and I, we just recently found out that we are pregnant. So this is
congratulations!
So this has actually been a really great time to be quarantined, because there were a couple of weeks there where I wasn't really feeling up to par, feeling my best. So this has actually been, I'm going to look on the positive side, and that's been a good thing for me.
So when are you due?
September 28th.
Okay. Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you so
welcome
much.
to the parenting club.
Thank you.
So, wow, your schedule has definitely changed a lot. Well, it's kind of a good thing, I guess, that you're home during at least the first trimester, so you can take that time off. And I know, oddly enough, when I was pregnant with my daughter, my only child, I was pregnant. I was working at a spa as a spa director, and there was 3 or 4 of us that were all pregnant at the same time. We were teaching each other how to eat everything in sight. Like, one of us would order a pizza, all of us would order a pizza.
Oh my gosh.
So the spa can be a dangerous place in a way, because you're like, everybody else is, what else do you have to do for lunch? Let's just order a pizza. So
that's right.
Congratulations. That's exciting. You don't have to worry about being in between clients and having to run to get sick or anything, but that's exciting.
Thank you.
Already, congratulations. Congratulations, Brittany. And then congratulations on the new bundle of joy.
Yeah, super excited.
Yeah. Well, wow, that threw me for a loop. I had no idea. So, what else have you learned about yourself during quarantine?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've learned that I really like to ease into my mornings. As a multi-passionate woman, I find myself very busy all the time. And so just being in quarantine has given me some perspective. Like, it's okay to just slow down and not set the alarm in the morning, and have my cup of coffee and listen to the birds chirping in my backyard. So I think like something I've really learned is just slow down and enjoy yourself.
Now, is your husband is he still working, or is he working from home, or like, how is that working for you guys as well?
He is working. My husband is a police officer for the city of Raleigh. And he has been for about 13 years. So he's still working. And so I get a lot of alone time, which can be good.
Well, you're a Teamster wife too. I am as well.
Yeah. How about that?
Now, my husband's a UPS driver, but I saw today, I didn't see the actual what happened, but there was a lot of comments going on about how grateful they are to the Raleigh Police Department and all that they're doing, especially with all the different, how do I even word this? I guess protests that are going on during this time. So please give your husband a sincere, we really appreciate all his hard work, because I know that that's got to be very trying right now for both of you in that sense too.
Yeah, thank you. I'll definitely let him know.
All right. So tell us a little bit about your career. Let's start from the very beginning. How did you get started in working as a pageant coach?
Oh my gosh, Camille, that's such a loaded question, because my career path has taken so many twists and turns since I graduated from college. So I will try to give you the shortest version that I can so that I don't bore you half to death.
I don't know.
So after I graduated from High Point University, I had it was a marketing job for a doctor's office. And I worked with a lot of patients that were undergoing weight loss surgery. So, for example, lap band or gastric bypass surgery. And one thing that I really got to do with them that I loved the most about my job was that I created a patient support group for these individuals that were going through this weight loss journey, or were maybe thinking about going through this weight loss journey. And I think that really started, my passion in coaching and helping others in reaching their goals. And I later moved on to work for a sales training company in Raleigh, North Carolina, called K Coaching. I worked for a lady named Krista Moore, and she's become one of my great friends, but also a really wonderful mentor. She's taught me a lot about being an entrepreneur, how to sell myself, and, also how to coach others. She is an executive business coach, and she encouraged me to get my certificate from NC State University in executive business coaching. So that's where a lot of my unique coaching skills come from. They're the typical pageant things that you're coaching, like, how to stand in your evening gown, how to walk in high heels, different pageant questions that are typically going to come up in a pageant interview. But there are also some things that traditionally a pageant coach wouldn't do, and that includes some life coaching or goal setting, things like that. And I think I really learned that through my time at K Coaching as a sales trainer, doing different webinars with young leaders in the industry that we were working in. So that was something that was really unique. I worked for them for about 5 years, and then I approached Krista about starting my own business, The Finishing Touch.
Nice.
And she was like, well, I don't know what the heck you've been waiting so long for. She's like, I've been waiting for this day to push you out of the nest and let you fly. So she was very supportive in my starting my pageant coaching business, and it's just kind of rolled from there. I've been doing it I started doing it part-time while I was working for Krista. And then once I had kind of proven to myself that I could maintain that career path, then I decided to take the leap of faith. I opened the Finishing Touch studio, and it just kind of has flown from there.
Wow. Now that's definitely a different path than I was projecting in my head. I had my own assumptions since it wasn't really written in your bio. So now I'm curious, how did you make that leap from doing sales coaching and entrepreneurial coaching, so to speak, and then go to pageant coaching? How are you even able to find the clientele? How did you approach them?
So I'm a pageant girl at heart, for
there
sure. I started competing in pageants when I was about 5 or 6 years old. And the first pageants that I did were glitz pageants. So for people that are watching that aren't familiar with pageantry, you're probably familiar with toddlers and tiaras.
That's exactly what I was thinking of when you said glitz. I'm like, oh, I know what that is.
Yes. And while I don't think that toddlers and tiaras is the greatest depiction of what pageantry is actually like.
Mm.
It's those systems of pageants that I really started in. And once I got older, I started competing in teen pageants. And in 2002, I won the title of Miss North Carolina Teen USA. And that kind of launched me into what we would call big girl pageants, I guess. So I went on from there to compete. I also competed for Miss North Carolina USA, but I also competed in the Miss America organization as well. So that's kind of how I have my pageant connections. It's something that I've done my whole life. I consider pageant people to be my family, and it's just an awesome world to be a part of.
I would totally agree about all of that you were saying as far as it being like a family. I mean, I only did 2, but I know from my experience, it was like immediate. I felt like I was surrounded by sisters, and everyone was there to help and encourage. And it's one of those things I think every woman, girl should experience at least once, or some level of pageantry, just to see what it all entails, because there is so much to it. And since you've done both, I would love for you to kind of explain the difference between the American pageant and the USA pageant, because this week I will have mainly from the USA, but I do have one representative from the American pageant as well.
Yeah. So I get this question a lot. What are the differences between the two? Which one is your favorite? And it's really hard for me to answer the question, which one is your favorite pageant system, because both are so near and dear to my heart. I was able to achieve so many different things from what I gained from each pageant system separately. It's hard for me to stand by one and not the other. So Miss America and Miss USA, or the Miss Universe organization, are considered the big 2 pageants, right? Those are the ones that everyone kind of knows about. Everyone, you kind of hear about it, even if you're not in pageant world. So they're probably the most popular, and they're probably the one that young women strive to, like, that's what we're working towards. When we're doing other pageant systems, you're probably working towards, okay, my goal is to one day be Miss North Carolina, or to be Miss North Carolina USA. So as far as differences go, I think the main difference between the two is that Miss America includes a talent competition, and Miss USA does not include the talent competition. So that's a big deciding factor when I'm consulting with a contestant on which pageant system is going to be the best fit for you. Because obviously, if you don't have a talent that is strong, that can be competitive, then you probably want to do something that's going to fit your strengths personally.
I mean, I'm pretty sure no one has really tried Miss Congeniality's. Remember the wine glass? You ever seen Miss Congeniality?
I have definitely seen some very unique talents on stage.
Oh, now you got to speak of those.
I have not seen the wine glass trick on stage quite yet, but maybe someone will be brave enough to try it one day.
Oh, I would live for it. I hope one day. I mean, I think everyone would enjoy it, but when you spend that much money to get in a pageant, you're there to win. You're not there for it. So
yes. Well, I've definitely seen a lot of very unique stage talent presentations. So, I think that you can be creative about your talent. You don't just have to do the traditional singing, dancing, playing an instrument.
Right.
Our current Miss America right now, she's actually a scientist, and she did a science experiment as her talent. So you don't necessarily have to do a traditional talent. You can be creative. So I don't want to discourage anyone from doing the Miss America pageant system because of that. So it is okay to be creative with your talent as well.
That's really interesting. I forgot about the scientist that you mentioned. Her doing the science. You just said the word and it just disappeared.
Science experiment.
Science experiment. Thank you. And I remember being like, how smart. Who would have thought it? So I'm glad that they're expanding, or maybe it was always an opportunity to do something like that. Because I remember from just growing up, you'd always see piano or tap dance or some type of form of dancing, I should say, or singing.
Yes.
But it would be like opera singing or like all kinds of levels of singing that always just amazed me how talented they were. But I also would think that with America, there's a lot of times they would have kind of a, trying to think how to put this delicately, where they would have not so much of a sob story. That's not exactly the word I'm using, but they would have some type of story of overcoming something or,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah. So one thing that's also required for the Miss America organization is a social impact initiative. And previously, before Miss America went through some marketing and branding changes, that was called their platform. And basically, in layman's terms, that's a community service project.
Right.
So a lot of contestants have a social impact initiative that is personal to them. Maybe it's a personal story, something that they've been through, with a family member or a friend. And others choose nonprofit organizations that they just feel passionate about or they feel a connection to. So that's also another thing that is a requirement of Miss America, but not necessarily a requirement for other pageant systems.
I remember just watching them and just always feeling like, oh wow, she overcame so much and did so much, like that element being in it as well. That's why I was like, I don't know the right term for it, but it seemed to be a pattern there. But I'm glad it's social, the social impact. That's huge, I think, just to have a, well, I mean, it used to be called platform, so I'm so used to saying platform, but social impact initiative. Great way to get not just the participants, but just to get more people involved because they see the participants coming out to their community and getting involved in more than just taking pictures with their sachet and tiara on. I gotta love that.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great way for pageant systems to brand themselves or to market themselves, to get in front of a new audience of people. And I know that you're having Chesley Christ on your show this week, the current Miss USA.
I am.
That's super exciting. And one thing that I think that Chesley has done really well as Miss USA is she has kind of taken on a personal platform with Dress for Success. And I'm sure she'll tell you all about that. But I think that by her doing that, not only has she really been able to help an organization that she's very passionate about, but she's also brought Miss USA into a light where she wasn't typically seen. So I think Chesley has done some really great things for branding Miss USA. She's been an awesome Miss USA. I couldn't be more proud of her.
And to be from North Carolina, we have to be doubly impressed by her, or not impressed, but supportive of her, because she's not only our state title winner, but she was also Miss USA overall winner.
Yes.
And we'll talk more about her off air, because I'm like, I want all the deets that I should be maybe asking that she wouldn't know that I would be asking. Because you were her coach, right? As well, right?
Yes. I have coached Chesley. I've worked with her on her onstage question. But most of all, I have been a friend of hers. We've collaborated on her blog, White Collar Glam. So I consider her a friend as well. And I'm just so happy for her. I mean, gosh, she's accomplished so much as Miss USA, and getting that job as an extra TV correspondent. I mean, she's always been a hard worker. She's always been dedicated to her goals, but she has really, being Miss USA has really allowed her to take that to the next level. Yeah, she's awesome.
I mean, she's one of the few Miss USAs I can remember where I just felt like I would see her on a regular basis doing things that was impactful to the community. As opposed to just being like a title holder and you never saw them again, or you would just see them on TV, but not necessarily, because I've seen her do several North Carolina events as Miss USA, where she was still helping out a women empowerment event I went to. She was there. Some local sorority, not sororities, some local, well, it's called the Links. I can't, they're like a scholarship foundation. She was there.
Okay.
Just several different things I've seen her get involved with, where she's still very much involved in the community. Even with Dress for Success, they had like some type of event, and I remember seeing that she was part of it. And maybe it's because she's also a local.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I saw it so often compared to some of the other past Miss USAs, because maybe in their state they were doing a lot as well. But I just remember being like, wow, I'm really impressed at how much she's making the time to do things, not just on a national level, but also on a local level. Like she hasn't, I mean, just because she's moved away and achieved such a high title, she's still very much involved locally as well, which.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is always something that I encourage title holders to do during their reign or their year of service, is to take advantage of making those appearances. And I was thinking about this earlier today, competing in pageants. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like really smart, Brittany. So you can tell me if you think this is smart too. But I really think that competing in pageants is, it's a personal growth time where you are setting goals for yourself. You're pushing yourself to reach limits that you never really thought that you could reach, as physically and mentally, as well as with your confidence. And it's all about you, right? Like preparing for the pageant is, a lot of times it's all about you and your self-growth and your personal growth. When they put that crown on your head, it's about other people now. And who are you going to help? And who you have a voice now that you can get out in the community, and you can encourage other young women to do that personal growth for themselves. So just like you did. So I think it's really important that when you win that title, it's not just like, oh yeah, I won the title, I'm the queen. It's about me. Like, let me post an Instagram selfie with my crown on. It's about, okay, I've got this platform. Yes, exactly. And I think that all of the title holders that you're having on your show this week have really exemplified that. All of them are involved in their communities in some way, shape, or form. All of them have a platform per se that they are passionate about, that they've been advocating for. And I think all of them have taken that, like that thought process of, okay, this isn't about me anymore. It's about who can I help? And they've all done that with grace and beauty. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's a really big piece, to take advantage of the year that you have to not only benefit for yourself and maybe your career path or something that you want to do, but also to help others in your community.
And I will mention that a few of the title holders, the first thing that they said to me after agreeing to be on my show was, can I talk about my platform? And I was just like, of course, girl. Yes, please share. Yes. I would love, I'm a professional volunteer as my husband calls it. And so I love that people get involved, and I want to do it. And I think times like these, it's really important to be able to get out of your own head to help someone else. And there's no greater feeling than knowing you helped someone else when they needed you, or even if they don't know they need you, just being able to be there for other people. Absolutely. And that was another part of pageants that I absolutely love. So we're going to step back a little bit.
Okay.
When you first meet with a contestant, what is that process like? Because I'm curious to figure out what through pageant coaching that would fit outside of pageant world as well. And I just want to make sure I don't miss anything, because I think there's so many parallels as far as just being prepared to take care of that boardroom or be in front of a webinars that we're all doing now. you know, all the different tricks and tips that you're training for when you become a Miss USA or Miss America. And I would love for others to know exactly what all that entails that hasn't had the opportunity yet, or maybe they're waiting for a certain Mrs. competition.
Oh, yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
This Dawn Moss was on last week, and she told me she was the oldest compete, and I was like, if she says my age, I won't do it. But she said a lot older, so I was like, I have time.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
gonna do it because
Yeah.
she reached out to me a couple of years ago. Actually, it didn't seem that long ago, and she asked me about doing Mrs. I think it was
Mrs. North Carolina, America. Yeah.
with Gail, last name Gail, I think.
Yeah, Wendy. Yeah.
Wendy Gail, yes, but it was her husband.
Yes.
And I was like all excited, told my husband about it, and he was just like, "You sure you want to do that?" And like and he wasn't doing it like in a doubtful way, just like, you wearing heels again on a regular basis. And I was like, yes.
Yes.
I kind of miss that life even more now that we're kind of living in stretchy jeans.
Well, I would definitely say for a first consultation with a client, that first consultation is really about me getting to know that person and getting to know what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are. And a lot of times a contestant will come in and she'll have an idea of what pageant system she wants to compete in based on something she's seen on social media. Maybe she saw a title holder out at one of their appearances or at a local community event. And that's why she has her mind set on a particular pageant system. So it's my job to ask all the questions, right? And to find out, is that really the best fit for you? Are you strong in interview? Are you strong in talent? Are you strong in community service? And so those are really the things that I'm looking for during that first consultation. I'm also looking for what are your weaknesses? What are the things that we're going to be working on over the next months or year even to prepare you for your competition so that we can put a game plan together as to what are we working on? What are we focusing on? What are our goals? How often are we going to meet? Those types of things. And once we decide on those things, then the consultations that come after are more specific to those things that we're wanting to really dive into and improve on and polish and put the finishing touch on for a little self-plug there. So the other thing that you mentioned was interviewing, and that's a big thing for all pageant systems, right? Even for little girls. Even little girls are doing private interviews. They're doing on-stage questions. So that is always something that we need to practice. Because I don't ever think that there is a finish line to your improvement on public speaking and your improvement on your interview skills. And even I know that there are things that I can improve upon and practice as a public speaker or as someone that is walking into an interview. So definitely we always work on interview. So there are a few different things depending on pageant system. That really depends on what types of questions you're being asked. There are some pageant systems where you are getting those tough current event questions or opinion-based questions. Some pageant systems are looking for a black or white answer. Some pageant systems are looking for a little more of a gray answer. I can kind of see both sides. So it really depends. And that's why it's important that if you are working with a coach or working with someone that's helping you practice, that they understand the differences between different pageant systems, especially the one that you will be competing in. But I definitely think that a lot of those skills transfer over into professional life. Obviously, interviewing is something that we can't escape from ever. If we're trying to have a career and be a professional, we're going to be interviewed. So those are definitely things that that need to be practiced and that we always work on as far as a pageant goes.
I mean, that's kind of a win or lose sometimes, because a lot of I guess pageant moments that stick out over history are those YouTubeable moments where someone said the wrong thing at an interview. Yeah. Completely just, they didn't mean what they said, but they were nervous and blurted out the first thing that came out of their mind, globes and into my mind.
Yeah.
A few were cringeworthy.
I think a big thing that a lot of contestants, especially new contestants that are very green to pageants, they are watching YouTube, which is a great tool to use, but sometimes it's like nails on a chalkboard to me, because I'm like, stop watching that. Like what she's doing is not necessarily what you need to do.
There's no way to really check how to validate how they're able to consider themselves a coach. Like what makes them, because they have 100,000 followers doesn't necessarily mean they know what they're doing. They could purchase those followers.
Sure. Yeah. So I think it's definitely important that that if you're working with someone that can really guide you on your pageant system, and someone that kind of has a way of coaching that's not telling you what to say, but rather coaching you on what you want to say and how to say it eloquently and how to get your point across in a clear, concise way. And that's why I do a lot of coaching around, okay, what's most important about you? What do we need to teach the judges about you or whoever's interviewing you? What's the most important thing? You cannot leave the room until they know these things about you. That's our foundation of your interview, because when you walk into the interview, a lot of really green contestants will think the judge or the interviewer is in charge of my interview. That is not the case at all. It's my job as the contestant or the person being interviewed to guide my interviewer to my next question. What do I want to talk to them about? And that is really a skill that needs to be practiced constantly. And I know that a lot of contestants, when they're green, will also feel like, I have to say the right answer. What's the right answer?
Oh, yeah, world peace.
There is no right answer. There is only your answer to the question. And one thing that I tell my clients all the time is that the goal in the interview room is not to make them like you, it's to connect with them. Mm-hmm. And that takes on a totally different perspective, because, even let's think about this. If I'm going out on a date, if I'm thinking about, oh my gosh, I have to make him like me, I'm going to try too hard, or I'm going to come off as being fake, or I'm going to say things that are not authentic to myself because I'm trying to impress someone else and tell them what I think they want to hear. Yeah. And judges don't want that. And I can guarantee you that they can see right through it. They know when someone is not being authentic, when they're not being truthful, and when they're just making stuff up. So it's really important that you just say what you want to say. And there's always going to be a judge that doesn't agree with you. There's always going to be this is life. There's always going to be someone in life that doesn't agree with your opinion. But the matter is, can you back up that opinion? Are you confident in yourself when I come back to you and challenge you on that opinion? That's what the judges are really looking for, is that confidence in the interview room, and not necessarily looking for the right answer, if that makes sense.
A lot of sense. Really appreciate that. I want to make sure, because there's been tons of comments, and I just want to make sure follow through with them before they get too far away and maybe are not on topic anymore. But Christina Faircloth says, Brittany Cruz, I was about to mess up your name because the Cruz DiCello is so great, and she pours into her girls equally across the board. And that's from Christina Faircloth.
Oh, thank you.
And Kim Osborne says, nice, Brittany. And then Brandy Barrett, she's saying, Brittany is amazing, a true professional and inspiration.
Oh, thank you.
There's more.
I'm not going to be able to walk through the door. My head's going to be too big.
We got a crown for that. Okay. So Kim Osborne said, I really like how you frame the significance of a pageant for personal growth and a purpose and truth platform.
Yeah.
Oh, here's a question from Brandy said something earlier. Brandy says, what's your advice for young children? How young is too young?
That's a good question. So there are a lot of children's pageants that you can choose from. Like I talked about earlier, there are what we call glitz pageants, where that requires a lot of like glitzy outfits, a lot of hair and makeup. That's what you're kind of seeing portrayed on television a lot of times, which I think there are some really positive things about glitz pageants. I think that glitz pageants really...
and you competed in glitz pageants.
I did compete in glitz pageants. I competed in glitz pageants from the time I was 5 until I was 15 years old. So I love glitz pageants. But I think that one really positive
pageant girl on this week as well. It just happened today that
oh, cool.
Yeah, so me more to even ask.
Yeah. I think one really positive thing from glitz pageants is that it really can improve your stage presence, because one thing they really focus on are those fun modeling routines on stage. And that's where I really learned how to have stage. Yes. There is some of that can be perceived as a little bit cheesy, but I really think overall that's where the foundation of my personal stage presence came from. When I started the Finishing Touch, I actually started as a modeling coach for swimsuit competition. And a lot of the skills that I teach my clients, I still continue to do a lot of modeling coaching for pageants. And a lot of my skills that I teach as the foundations of stage modeling for pageants started with my glitz pageant training. So there are definitely glitz pageants for young kids. Then there are what's called natural pageants. And a lot of parents like natural pageants because you're wearing kind of like a Sunday school dress. You are not wearing a whole lot of makeup. It's not about hair and makeup. Some pageants even require that you don't wear makeup at all. Okay. One of my favorite children's pageants is called Cinderella International. It is an international pageant system, and we have state and local pageants here in North Carolina, and it does include talent. That's a big piece of it. But the contestants are also doing interview, they're talking on stage, they're modeling, as well as doing talent. And those age ranges for that particular pageant go from infant, like babies, all the way up to women. They have a woman category, which I think ends around like 30 years old, maybe. So I competed in Cinderella International pageants for a long time. And I really think that that is one of my favorite children's pageants. It's really long-standing. But to answer Brandy's question about how young is too young, I know a lot of people that have started their children in pageants at 2 and 3 years old. You'd be really surprised at how much a 2 and 3 year old can really do. But a lot of times my recommendation is 5 or 6, just because I feel like a 5 or 6 year old can really make that decision of, yes, I want to do this, or no, I don't. So, and they have the attention span to be able to really learn what they are supposed to be doing on stage, and they can walk out on stage by themselves. A lot of pageants that have age divisions that are younger than 5 and 6 years old, the parent has to walk out on stage with them. So if Brandy doesn't want to walk out on stage, I would wait for her kids to be 5 or older.
Great. So I'm going to keep going through the comments. Brandy had another one. So true. Public speaking is an evolving skill. Amen to that. And then Kaylee Wadsworth says, the time I spent training with Mrs. Brittany has stuck with me and has helped me win my local title. Thank you.
Oh, that's so sweet, Kaylee. Thank you.
Now you got to tell me more about Miss Kaylee Wadsworth. What's she running for? I can't place the name.
Yeah, so Kaylee is currently the Miss Zebulon's outstanding teen. I'm sorry, I had to think about that for a second.
I'm sorry,
She's the current she's the current Miss Zebulon's outstanding teen, and she plays the piano for talent. And she will be competing at Miss North Carolina's outstanding teen this July. So typically, that state pageant is held in June. And obviously, due to COVID-19, things have been postponed a little bit, but they are still having the pageant. I believe it's July 29th through August, like 1st or 2nd. And it will be held in High Point, North Carolina.
Oh, fun. Now,
Yeah.
speaking of that, just in case, I don't know if there's any pageants that were planned to be during coronavirus, COVID-19, since that started, and probably by the time we actually are out of our stay. Have you heard any changes that are going to be going on, or any differences that they're planning to do, or is it too soon yet?
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of pageants that have been either canceled or postponed because of COVID-19. A lot of them were going to be happening in May. So April, May, June is really a very busy time for pageants, especially for local and state pageants.
Okay.
National pageants tend to take place around August, like the end of July, August. So obviously, if state pageants are being postponed, national pageants are being pushed out a little bit. I know that the Miss Collegiate America, Miss High School America national pageant was supposed to happen in July, I believe, and it's been postponed to September. So things are getting pushed out. I have not heard a whole lot about different regulations or what they're going to be doing. I think a lot of pageant directors are just patiently waiting to see what happens as far as are there going to be certain requirements of how many people we can let in the building, or social distancing, things like that. So they haven't really released information like that, but they've definitely been postponing events.
That makes a lot of sense. I was just thinking about when you mentioned that about the audience. I think, forgive me if I'm wrong, because it's been a while since I've watched wrestling, but I guess it's WWE. I watched this show called Briar Patch. Don't judge me. It's a great show. It always records a little bit of WWE right before it. And it's just shocking to me that they're still performing, but without an audience. Because I would think like, wow, that's going to be really difficult. And I can imagine even for pageants, that would be very difficult too, just to not have all of your support system there with you as well. But I'm sure they'll find a great way. And have you heard anything about virtual pageants? Because I just got a question from Christina Faircloth on any tips for virtual pageants. Miss Fayetteville Dogwood will be virtual.
Yes, I'm familiar with the Miss Fayetteville Dogwood pageant. And I did hear that they were doing a virtual pageant this year because they were having to postpone their festival pageant. They postponed their festival as well, the Fayetteville Dogwood Festival. And I have been thinking about a few tips for virtual pageants, which I think this is becoming a thing. I've seen a lot of virtual pageants on Facebook where contestants actually are videoing themselves at home, like walking in their evening gown or modeling whatever outfit it is that they are modeling on stage, and sending those videos in to be judged. And then they're having like a Zoom meeting for private interviews. So those will be held live. So it'll be just like doing a regular pageant interview, but it'll be kind of like what we're doing here, where they're interviewing you via conference call. So I have really been thinking about that, because obviously interviewing on a conference call is very different than interviewing in person. And it's much easier to connect with someone in person when you can physically be there, when you can look them in the eye, when you can really feel their body language.
Mm-hmm.
And that becomes a little bit more challenging when you're doing a virtual interview for a pageant or even for a job, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good segue, because I was going to ask you about what skill sets from pageant and coaching that you would recommend for people who are now doing webinars and or even just doing interviews whenever they might be out in the real world again to do
Yeah, exactly.
way. So
Yeah.
that's a great question that kind of fits for both. So
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I would definitely say that from my sales training days, I did a lot of webinar training. And I think one thing that is really different from doing a webinar training versus doing an in-person training is that it takes so much more energy on camera to get across what you want to get across. And I think the same thing is going to happen for a virtual interview as well. One skill that we talk about when we're talking about communicating with someone is mirroring their body language. When you're sitting across the table from someone, it's really easy to tell if they're high energy. Are they leaning forward? Are they sitting back in their chair? How can you mirror them to make them feel comfortable with you? And that's a little bit more difficult to do on a web call. So it really takes a lot more energy. Like you've got to make them feel your energy, make them feel your passion coming through this webcam, where you can't really do that, the way that you would in person.
And last week I had Jennifer Farrell, who hosts tons of HGTV shows and different design shows. And she gave me this one tip that I've been trying to use. And it is so difficult, but I do notice a huge difference in my videos is instead of making eye contact with who you're actually interviewing with, making eye contact with the camera. It's
yes.
I feel completely weird doing it. Like I'm doing it right now. And I just feel like I'm not paying as much attention to you, which I totally am, but it's just, I feel rude just because I'm sure everyone, you've been brought up to look people in the eye or at least near their eyes. And so it's like, I'm just pretending your eyes are there. I'm just pretending. And so I'm looking there where, I guess to give a better idea, this is where if I wanted to look her in the eye, it would be more this way.
Right.
And so it's a huge difference because
a huge difference.
I will say that also, like, you have to be careful about with winking too much too, because sometimes with lashes anyway, girls, it's a little heavier. So you're blinking a lot more. And I noticed that as well. So I'm like, ooh, maybe I won't wear lashes as much as I want to, but they're so pretty. So that would be another tip that I would like to add to that because
absolutely.
I had no idea, because working in film, the goal usually, unless you're doing a commercial where they want you to look in camera, which I've done a couple of jobs where that was required, for the most part, you're cheating anyway. You're not looking directly at it. So you're opened up to the camera a little bit. So now like being like, hi camera, the whole time, never mind that I have people talking to me right here. So practice it as much as you can.
Absolutely.
You can.
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely one of the things on my list was practicing your eye contact with the camera, because even right now I'm at home and there's like all these things going on. My husband just walked through the kitchen and it took everything I could do not to like look over there at him. So, just trying to take away those distractions, making sure that you're practicing good eye contact. The other thing I would mention, especially for a virtual pageant, something that you want to look your best, is the lighting. I know when we first got on this call, I took you around my house like, okay, which window is the best? Right. So where can you see me the best? And that's really important too. So you always want to have a window in front of you so that you get that natural lighting, especially if you don't have a ring light or something like that, that's going to give you good lighting. And a lot of times if the light is over your head, it's shadowing your face. So you want it to be kind of straight on. So that way the judges can see you in the best light.
Yeah. And I guess even with framing, do you have suggestions for that as far compared to, I guess when they're walking, luckily they get to videotape that themselves prior to, but do you suggest a certain amount of bodies? I mean, or a little bit lower.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you definitely want your head to kind of be at the top of the screen. And the way that I'm thinking about this is the way that you would think about a headshot, right? Like you want your eyes to be like the top third of the picture. So I would say as far as framing goes, you definitely want to be close enough to the camera where there's not a lot of space above your head, because that can be a little bit distracting if you're like way down here. Yeah. And also, like, you know, making sure that your background is pretty too. Like, I know we chose this background that has nothing on it. It's just like a blank wall. Even though my painting in the other room was like really pretty behind me, the lighting just wasn't good. So I think that's something to take into consideration as well.
All great tips.
Mhm.
And I want to be mindful of your time because we have about 8 more minutes before it's 7 o'clock. So since you're also an esthetician
Mhm.
and you have a makeup line,
Yes.
we have to talk about beauty tips because,
Sure.
you know, it's my favorite thing to talk about next in. I don't know. I can't choose between them. So you have any tips for that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you know, I was watching your live last night with Brett from Glow Skin Beauty, which is super cool.
Yes.
Yes. And I use Glow Skin Beauty products in my spa room at the salon at the Hair Affair in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Let me write that down. Hair Fair.
Okay, it's the Hair Affair in Raleigh, North Carolina. And so I use Glow Skin Beauty products. I love them. I've been using them for a really long time, and I've seen some really awesome results from them. And even when Brett was talking last night, he was mentioning some of my favorite products that I recommend to all of my clients. So if you guys are watching this, you should go watch Brett talk about all of their skincare products. But we do offer those. We sell them retail at the salon. And so that's what I do in the spa room. And one thing that you mentioned with Brett is that you've got to have great skin in order to have great makeup. And if you don't have great makeup, when those lights on stage or this natural light on your window is hitting you for your webinar, your skin's not going to look great. It's just not going to look good. Doesn't matter how full coverage that your makeup is. So that's first and foremost, that's the most important thing, is really taking good care of your skin. And that's something I've been passionate about my whole life. My whole family is in the beauty industry. And so naturally I fell there as well. So I've created a self-branded makeup line, The Finishing Touch Cosmetics. You can follow me on Instagram. It's TFT Cosmetics for my Instagram account for my makeup. Those makeup products are really specifically designed for stage and photography, obviously, because my clientele are mostly pageant contestants. They're looking for that full coverage foundation. They're looking for lipsticks that are going to last a long time, things that are really going to set well and stay under the heat of the lighting on the stage. So that's what those products are really made for. My most popular products are I'm sorry.
TFT Cosmetics, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure before I posted it that I had it right.
Yep. That's my Instagram account for my makeup. And I also post my hair and makeup styling work there as well. A lot of times I'll travel to pageants and do hair and makeup for contestants. So you'll see my work there as well for my hair and makeup design.
I'm going to look that up right now. Hair and makeup, I think it's the most fun and beautiful at the same time. It's just, there's not many places that you can go and get away with all the waves and hair and just being big and well, maybe in Texas because everything's bigger in Texas, but around here, like, we live in the same county.
That's right.
We don't see a lot of big hair. Makeup and lashes. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's beautiful women here. I don't mean it that way. It's just, it's way more natural in a way.
Yeah.
So
yes, there's definitely a time and a place for stage hair and makeup. but no one loves it better than I do. So I love some full texture hair and some big lashes and bright lipstick. So I have all of that with TFT Cosmetics. And then I also have the Glow Skin Beauty Cosmetics at the salon as well, which are more of your mineral-based makeups that you can wear every day. So I'm actually wearing Glow Skin Beauty foundation right now. I've been trying out their new HD foundation stick. I don't know if you've tried those yet.
No, I'm a powder girl only, which
yeah,
I can tell that because I feel like I'm shining a lot, but it's the light. It's not.
it's not you, it's the light.
It's a little bit me. No, I was having a lot of fun with the highlighter. I'm like, oh, it's not showing up, and I was like, oh, too late to fix it now, girl. I'm upstairs.
Yeah, so I'm really digging the HD foundation sticks, and I actually got 3 of them. I got my highlight, my contour, and my foundation color. So I kind of use all 3 of those. And then I put the loose mineral powder on top to kind of set everything in. So that's more of like my everyday makeup. And then TFT Cosmetics is more of like, okay, I'm going to a wedding and I need my makeup to stay on in the hot July sun for 8 hours, or, you know, I'm going to a special event where I know people are going to be taking a lot of pictures and all that. And I want everything to, you know, stay all night long or something like that.
Now, since we still have like 1 more minute left, basically, now, do you suggest that people do have a different look for interview and for stage?
Yes. Yes. So obviously, when you walk into your interview, you want to look like yourself. You want to look like yourself no matter what. But when you walk into your interview, you don't want to have on full on stage makeup. I mean, even if you walked into a job interview and, you know, they always tell you like, stick with the natural colors, the neutral colors for a job interview, because you don't want to scare people. So I definitely think that interview is definitely a more natural look. I do encourage contestants to, you want to wear makeup. Yes. I do encourage them to wear eyelashes for interview, probably something that's more natural. The ones that I always choose are the Ardell 53s from Walmart or Ulta.
Share with the friends. Ardell
53s for interview.
Oh, that's for okay.
Yeah, that's for interview. And then for stage, obviously you want to bump that up a little bit. You want to darken your makeup a little bit, have, you know, because you're going to have those white lights hitting your face. You don't want to be washed out on stage. You want the judges to be able to see what you look like. So, you know, maybe a little bit brighter of a lipstick. It really depends on what you're wearing and kind of the look that you're going for. You know, are you going for a smoky eye with a nude lip? Are you going for more of like an old Hollywood with like the bright red? Maybe you're not going to use as much eyeshadow. So those are all things to talk with whoever you're consulting on about your image, as far as hair and makeup goes. And those are definitely things for a pageant that you need to plan and practice. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm just going to show up and I'm going to curl my hair. That is not how it works. That's not how it works. You need to have a plan, whether or not you're going to have a hair and makeup person, or if you're doing your own, you need to talk with that person. You need to have a plan and let them know kind of what you're expecting to look like for your pageant. But yes, I definitely think they're 2 different looks.
Oh, wait. And so what's your Ardell or lashes in general that you recommend for stage?
Yeah. So with TFT Cosmetics, I actually sell the awesome mink eyelashes. And they can be used up to 15 to 20 times as long as you keep them cleaned. They are a little bit on the expensive side. So if you're not used to putting on eyelashes, if you're not well practiced yet, I would start with the Ardell Wispies. And you can buy those at Walmart or at Ulta, or you can probably order them on Amazon by now. So I think those are great for stage. And I don't know if you follow Scott Barnes, but
Of course I do.
He does Jennifer Lopez's makeup, but the wispies are the ones that he always uses.
Which one is?
The wispies.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, so he mentions those a lot in his videos as well. So I love those for stage. If you feel like they're not enough, you can always stack them on top of your 53s and just get like a little flare thing going on. But yes, I would definitely practice with those first before jumping into the more expensive mink eyelashes, because you might be a little sad if you mess them up.
Now, just making sure you said 15 to 20 washes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Unfortunately, I can't see the rest of my comments, so hopefully I wrote 15 to 20. If not, I'll fix it later. One of the things with the software, there was like an emoji sign. It wouldn't let me go any further to be able to see. Oh, I'd stop there. Okay, so 15 to 20 washes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That's right.
Well, I want to make sure that everybody knows where they can follow you at. I have TFT Cosmetics, but then your main one is Finishing Touches.
Yeah,
right?
it's @_ the finishing touch.
And do you have a Facebook page as well they can follow? It's just
I do have a Facebook page. It's the Finishing Touch Consulting LLC is my Facebook page. And my website is thefinishingtouchonline.com.
The Finishing Touch.
It's a mouthful.
Well, I'm dyslexic.
Someone had already stolen the Finishing Touch. So some interior designer had already claimed thefinishingtouch.com. So I had to go with thefinishingtouchonline.com. So.
Oh, I see. And I'm dyslexic. So like typing it's not my forte at all, but I'm a one-woman show, so I do what I can. Yeah, if it's misspelled, just move a couple I's and the N's and just they're in the wrong order. So I think I got it right. The Finishing Touch online.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. All right. Oh, I just saw something come. Oh, thanks, Brittany and Camille, for a great interview. Ellie and I enjoyed hearing such amazing tips. And on that note, it's 7:03, so I want to make sure I thank you so much for all your help.
Thank you for having me.
You become a guest, but you also helped me book almost all of my pageant girls this week because you gave me the introduction on who to harass over and over.
Right.
So she's the one. No, I'm kidding.
It's all about who you know, right?
Exactly. It definitely is. It's definitely about building those relationships. And I have to say, I'm so grateful for all your help with that. You gave some great tips. And I think so many of these things that you taught us can be used beyond pageants. And also maybe if some of our viewers decide to be in a pageant, or maybe their kids, or maybe me, I don't know. I'm still like,
that's right.
The more you talked about it, the more I'm like, am I that confident? Am I really? Will I? Because I'm going to share Friday with Vera. Because do you know Vera Morris?
I do know Vera. Yes.
Well, she was my coach for Miss North Carolina and Miss.
Wow. That's awesome.
And I did Miss North Carolina first, and then I did Miss Charlotte. So I kind of did it opposite.
Okay.
But I did so poorly in Miss North Carolina that I was like, I kind of was just like, I'm just doing this just to get another patch on my sash, just to really test it out again. So I was ready for Miss North Carolina again.
Yeah.
Boy, did I blow it. I literally said, oh no, don't give me the crown. You give it to somebody else. It was one of those situations where public speaking after that point, I made a point of taking a class, really taking it seriously. Cause at Miss North Carolina, I didn't even make it to stage interviews. So I didn't expect to get to that point either. So we didn't really, she practiced more with getting me graceful walking in heels. I was Taekwondo competition. So that was her hardest part. But she was like, Camille, you're such a good speaker. You'll be fine. You're good at talking to everyone. You never meet a stranger. Yeah, I got up there and I just totally put my foot in my mouth and kept chomping on it. So it happened.
I love it.
And I'm very grateful that smartphones didn't exist then, because I probably would be on.
There's no proof.
Because it was that bad.
I love it.
Like literally after I said what I said, everyone collectively went, oh, like, how dare she say
Oh, no.
My cheering squad, who all looked like me, so to speak, they all just was like, oh no, we don't know her, but we obviously must. So, but yeah, she forgot about it, but I reminded her, and I was like, oh, yep, we'll talk about it Friday. Save it for then.
That's awesome. Well, I'll be sure to watch that interview as well.
Oh yeah, I definitely did it. But again, thank you so much, Brittany.
Yes,
You were
thank
awesome.
you.
So much great information. And again, there's more coming in about are those so are those recommended lashes for interview and stage appearance for children as well? I guess I'll throw that in before.
Yeah, I would definitely say the 53s. I think that children can wear. I would probably leave it at the 53s. I don't think I would go any bigger than that. It depends on how old the child is as well. If they're up into like 12 and 13, then they probably can get away with a larger eyelash.
Okay.
But I would stick with the more natural looking lashes and makeup colors for children as well, because we want it to be appropriate. For sure. So definitely neutral makeup colors and lighter eyelashes for children. And for interview for children, no eyelashes at all. I would just use those for the stage. And a lot of pageant systems, like I said earlier, have restrictions on makeup and what you can wear as far as hair and makeup goes. Yeah. So 7, I would probably say no eyelashes for interview, and depending on the pageant, probably those 53s for stage.
Great. Well, thank you so much again. And thank you to all the viewers for all your great questions.
Thank you all for joining us.
No, it was a lot of fun. I can't thank you enough again. I appreciate you so much. And we'll definitely have to talk off camera so you can give me some insider questions for Miss Chesley.
Yes, girl, I would love to.
For all the contestants this week, who am I talking about? Just in case they're being shy. Just kidding. I doubt that's an issue with them. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the E-Spot with me today, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations again for anyone that joined us late. Brittany shared some big news. I'll let you say it again.
Yes, my husband and I were having a baby, so September 28th is our due date.
So yeah, in other words, hurry up and book her now, because she may not be available after.
That's right.
For any coaching. All right. Well, again, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Camille.
Bye-bye. I just love girls. They're so much fun. Thank you again for everyone for watching, for staying on the live and asking such great questions. I hope you join me every day not every day. Yeah, every day this week. There's been some scheduling differences. So Kim Kimball will be tomorrow night at 8 o'clock instead of 6 o'clock. But Alexandra Pageant, Miss North Carolina America, she will be at 6 o'clock. So we get a full hour with her, and then we'll have a full hour with Kim Kimball later on at 8 o'clock. She's actually doing an LA hair reunion at 6 o'clock on her Facebook page for Kim Kimball. If you want to check that out, I won't be completely offended, but she is Beyonce's hairstylist amongst many others. So I get it. And then for actually Miss USA, Miss Chesley, she has some other arrangements come up as well. So her interview will be at 2:30 p.m. on April 30th. 2:30, and I'm going to have a cute little special. I think she's in Glitz Pageants. I'm still waiting to get all the information from her, but she will be my 6 o'clock appointment. She's 7 years old, super cute, and she's getting ready to have a brand new show. Well, it's not brand new, but she's starting on it. Oh gosh, the Call of Dads. I don't know. It's COD. I forgot the name of the show already. Because I want to make sure if you can watch it, you can watch it. You can get to see it. Because you put COD. Yeah, I lost it. Okay. I looked up what it meant. Council of Dads. That's what it is. Council of Dads, which airs this week. So look for her on that as well. That's Kara Khan. She'll be on April 30th at 6 o'clock. And then Friday, let me tell you. So 6 o'clock, we're starting off with Vera Morris. And then 6:30 will be Miss North Carolina, Teen USA, and Miss North Carolina USA, Jane and Peyton. What a full house. I'm so excited. Talk about a royal flush. Okay. I don't know anything about poker, so I should stop right there. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I can't wait for you guys to see me again tomorrow. We're going to have a really fun week. See you guys then. Awkward bye time.